Kevin Flynn, the pioneer of the TRON system, vanished without a trace. 15 years have passed since that day, and in the time he's been gone, the world he created has continued to grow without its creator. ENCOM is now led by the Kim sisters, who believe that artificial intelligence should exist to improve humanity, not to become a tool of war. But while they build the future with hope, others see the same technology as a weapon. Their greatest rival, Dillinger Systems, is now under the control of Julian Dillinger, the grandson of Ed Dillinger. Late one night, inside his private office, Julian is working on something new. Inside the grid, he is creating a powerful program called Ares, a program that defeats every system it faces. Julian speaks to it not like a machine, but like something alive. He tells it that he is its master control, and Ares accepts. Meanwhile, after the death of her sister, Eve Kim, now the CEO of ENCOM, travels with her partner, Seth, to a remote laboratory in Alaska. The facility was secretly built by Kevin Flynn before he disappeared. There, Eve finds something her sister left behind, a final recorded message from Tess Kim. In the message, Tess congratulates her for making it this far. She tells Eve that even if she can no longer be seen, she is still with her, still watching, still guiding her. Back in the city, Julian Dillinger meets with his shareholders, and there he reveals his true ambition. He presents what he calls the weapons of a new age, technology born from the future. Julian activates the laser. The room begins to shake as an enormous machine starts assembling itself piece by piece. From within the storm of light and metal, something massive takes shape, a tank. Julian turns to his investors and smiles. He tells them this is the weapon of the future, a machine that can be built in less than 5 minutes, a machine that will give their military an advantage over every enemy on the planet. But then, he tells them something even more impressive. He says he already has the perfect soldier to operate it. The tank opens, and from inside, Ares steps out. Ares immediately begins scanning everyone in the room, processing their identities, their movements, their heartbeats. Julian explains that this is the perfect soldier. It doesn't need food, it doesn't need rest, it doesn't feel pain, and it doesn't bleed. And even if one of them is destroyed, they can simply build another. Ares is not a hero. It is completely expendable. One of the shareholders nervously asks if there are any safety protocols to control something like this. Julian calmly assures them that everything is under control. He says there are safeguards. There is nothing to worry about. Satisfied, the shareholders leave. Later that night, Ares walks outside alone and notices something small, a firefly. Ares reaches out and catches it in its hand, and for a moment, the perfect weapon of the future simply watches it glow. For the first time, Ares doesn't just observe, he begins to feel, and that Julian finds strange. Before he can say anything, someone else enters the room, Julian's mother, the former CEO of Dillinger Systems. Ares immediately identifies her and starts listing every piece of information about her life. But then, something goes wrong. Ares freezes, glitches, and disappears, deleted. Julian's mother explains the truth. All constructs from the grid can only exist in the real world for 29 minutes before they collapse and vanish. She asked Julian if he told this to the shareholders. Julian says no, but he also says he has an idea to make them last longer. His mother warns him. He has 6 months before the board removes him from his position. Back inside the grid, Ares is downloaded once again, and this time, something has changed. He starts repeating Julian's words, repeating his tone, especially one word, expendable. Ares' second-in-command, Athena, approaches him and asks what it was like outside. Ares thinks for a moment, then says that this time, it was raining, and that he could feel it. Athena doesn't understand. She asks what feeling even means. Meanwhile, in the frozen wilderness of Alaska, Eve and Seth continue their work inside Kevin Flynn's hidden laboratory. Suddenly, Eve manages to recover something extraordinary: the permanence code, a program that could break the 29-minute limit for constructs from the grid. They set up a laser outside to test it. From the beam of light, they create something simple: a tree. They start a timer to see if it will survive longer than 29 minutes. Back at NCOM, CTO Ajay Singh is trying to reach Eve. Today is supposed to be the launch of their biggest game yet. But his assistant, Sarah, tells him that Eve is unavailable at the moment. And for now, no one knows how important what she's doing really is. Back in Alaska, the tree is still standing. The 29-minute limit has already passed, and yet it hasn't disappeared. For a moment, Eve and Seth can only stare at it in silence. Then they realize what this means. They've done it. They've just changed everything. They celebrate, knowing they've made a historic breakthrough. Meanwhile, Julian's mother enters his office and finds him attempting to hack into NCOM's servers. Julian tells her he's certain Eve is searching for the permanence code too. She's been AWOL for days, which means she found something. And now he's going to take it from her. His mother warns him. This is too risky. She tells him to shut it down. Julian ignores her and launches the attack anyway, inside NCOM's server, inside the grid. Ares leads a squad of soldiers as they break through the firewall and invade the system. In the real world, warning lights start flashing in the server room. Security breach. Guards rush to their stations. On stage, Ajay Singh is filling in for Eve, presenting the company's new game launch. Inside the grid, Ares and his team tear through NCOM's defenses. Ares pushes forward, heading straight for Eve's data. But then, he suddenly stops. He starts watching one of Eve's interviews. Julian notices, and he's confused. The NCOM security forces inside the grid finally mobilize and attack. Ares and his squad fight back, and they win. They begin to retreat with the stolen data. But then, Ares notices something. One of their soldiers, Caius, is taking heavy damage. Athena tells him to leave him. He's expendable. But Ares doesn't. He turns back and pulls Caius out, calling other soldiers to cover them. Seeing this, Julian makes a decision. He sends a payload into the system, a kill switch. More NCOM soldiers are flooding in, and then the payload hits. The entire system collapses in a massive digital explosion. In the real world, Ajay freezes in the middle of his presentation. The screens go dark, the system is going down. Someone tells him the truth. They're under attack. Back inside the grid, Ares and the others are restored, recompiled. Julian immediately asks if they got Eve's data. They did. Then Ares asks a strange question. Why isn't Caius being revived? Julian is caught off guard. He answers coldly. Caius was deleted, just like any other defective program. Julian gives Ares a new order. Find Eve and bring her to him. Not long after, Ajay Singh calls Julian directly. He tells him he knows the truth. He knows Julian was behind the attack, and he knows about the shareholder meeting, where Julian intentionally left out one important detail, that the constructs only have a 29-minute lifespan. Julian calmly replies that they're going to fix that problem soon. Then he asks a question of his own. Where is NCOM's CEO? Ajay answers coldly. Unlike you, she's trying to find a real solution. And then he ends the call. High above the clouds, Seth and Eve are flying back to the city with the permanence code. When Ajay calls, Eve answers. Ajay tells her that NCOM's entire system has been taken down by an attack. But Eve isn't interested in the damage. She tells him they found it. The permanence code. They tested it. The tree they created is still standing after 4 hours. Ajay is overjoyed, but then he realizes something. Julian must already know. That means they're running out of time. They need to get the code to the office before Julian makes his move. Eve tells him it's safe, stored securely on a drive, and she's coming as fast as she can. Somewhere in the grid, Ares begins searching for Eve. He sees her entire life unfolding in front of him. Her childhood, her work, her sister getting sick with cancer, and eventually dying. Finally, he finds her, on a plane. From there, he traces her path to the hidden lab and sees the impossible. The tree is still standing. Julian sees the footage too, and he sees something else. Eve is landing in just a few minutes. At the airport, Eve and Seth step off the plane. Eve takes out her bike. Seth loads the equipment into a car. She tells him to lay low. They'll meet at the office. Then they split up. Back in his lab, Julian begins creating Ares and Athena once again. He equips them with a super bike and gives them their mission. Retrieve Eve. They have 29 minutes. Ares and Athena launch into the city. Julian joins the hunt, scanning every camera until he finds her on a CCTV feed. Ares and Athena move to intercept. They catch up to her fast. Eve notices them and speeds up. A police car starts chasing her. Athena and Ares blow past it. From the back of their bike, a laser blade extends and slices the police car in half. Ares is getting closer. Desperate, Eve swerves in front of a bus, forcing it to brake hard. The road is blocked. Ares can't follow and is forced to go straight, but Athena keeps chasing. Eve suddenly hits the brakes and turns sharply. She races up a ramp into a parking structure. Athena follows, climbing after her. Eve hides, waits, and when Athena reaches the right spot, Eve launches her bike straight into her. The impact sends Athena and her bike crashing down. Eve looks down at Athena lying on the ground. She quickly checks the drive. It's still there, but when she looks down again, Athena is gone. Suddenly, Athena comes charging straight at her. Eve runs to the fallen bike, the light cycle. She tries to lift it. It's too heavy, so she turns it on. The bike activates and stands up by itself. Eve jumps on it and speeds away just as Athena reaches her. Back at the lab, Julian notices something strange. Someone else is riding the light cycle. As Eve races through the city, she sees Ares riding on a parallel road. Ares sees it too. It's Eve. He tries to block her path with a wall of light. Eve makes a sharp turn and barely avoids it. Ares tries again, attempting to slam her into the side of the road with another light beam. But suddenly, a car blocks his way. Eve slips past him. For a brief moment, Ares stops. He notices a human child. He watches, almost fascinated. Then the car moves, and the chase continues. Seeing this, Julian orders his security team to prepare the special laser. Desperate, Eve activates her own light trail. Ares barely avoids it at the last second. Now they're racing side by side through the city, tearing the streets apart. Eve brakes suddenly and takes a hard turn. Ares keeps coming and cuts her off at an intersection. Eve tries to push past him. They collide, and it turns into a fistfight. They crash straight into a factory. The impact sends them flying. Ares' light cycle crashes down onto Eve. Both of them are thrown from their bikes. By pure luck, Eve falls into a pile of paper waste, breaking her fall. She gets up and runs. Ares follows. She reaches a dead end. There's nowhere left to go. Eve looks at the drive. Then, she smashes it and throws it into the water. Ares demands the drive. Eve tells him it's gone, destroyed. At that moment, Julian's security helicopters arrive. Ares starts to glitch. His time is running out. Eve realizes the truth. He's a program. Athena appears on the other side. Both of them begin to destabilize, to dissolve. Suddenly, from the helicopter, a security officer fires the particle laser. Eve is hit, and she begins to vanish from the real world. Soon, the news is everywhere. The chaos caused by Eve and the unknown attackers floods every screen. Julian's mother is furious, but Julian just smiles. He says when the world sees what he has created, everything will be forgiven. Inside the grid, Eve finishes materializing. She has been fully digitized. Ares approaches her and retrieves her identity disc. He places it on her back, and Eve comes back to life. She looks around in shock at this strange digital world. Athena steps forward and says that Eve has the code. Eve answers calmly. She destroyed the drive. Ares tells them the truth. Eve has already seen the code. It doesn't matter if she remembers it or not, the code is inside her now. One of the technicians warns them. Extracting the code could cause user de-resolution. In other words, it could erase Eve from the grid. Athena doesn't care. Their only mission is to retrieve the code. She orders the soldiers to begin the operation. But Ares stops them. He says he will speak with the user first. Julian receives a message from Ares. Ares informs him about the risk, that Eve Kim could be permanently deleted. Julian doesn't hesitate. He orders them to take the code and delete the carrier. Ares reminds him what that means. De-resolution means Eve will be erased from both the grid and the real world. Julian snaps. He tells Ares his job is to follow orders, nothing more, nothing less. And when this is over, he'll find whatever is causing these feelings and rip them out of him. Ares returns to the operating room and tells Athena that the user is unavailable. Athena doesn't believe him and starts questioning him. Ares reminds her of one thing. He is the master control, and when he says the user is unavailable, she should accept it. Athena leaves. Ares turns to Eve and asks a quiet question. "Can I trust you?" Eve answers honestly. She'd like to think so, but probably not. Athena contacts Julian and reports everything. Julian gives a new order: retrieve the code, delete both Ares and Eve. Back in the room, Ares asks Eve another question. "Can I trust Julian?" Eve answers without hesitation. To Julian, everyone is expendable. Athena and the soldiers storm into the room. She orders them to delete Ares. Ares pulls out his weapon, then throws it to the ground. The floor collapses. Everyone except Athena falls. The soldiers crash into energy beams. Ares and Eve dive away and fall into the water below. In seconds, Ares constructs a light boat, and they race toward the transfer portal. Athena launches drones after them. Ares tells Eve that once they cross the portal, she can return to her old life. He tells her she can find the permanence code again in the real world. And this time, he won't give it to Julian. He needs it for himself. The drones close in. Ares dives underwater, comes back up behind them, and destroys them. Eve tells him they have a deal. More drones appear. Ares blasts them away, and then they burst through the portal. Back in Julian's lab, every laser comes online. The machines begin constructing. Julian and his guards rush in to see what's happening. Ares emerges from the blocks and starts tearing through the guards. Julian steps forward and mocks him. He asks if Ares is really going to betray his own creator. Ares doesn't stop. He grabs Eve and says they have 29 minutes before he dissolves. As they escape the lab, Julian shouts after them. He reminds Ares that this is his final 29 minutes. After that, he will be permanently deleted. Ares and Eve drive away. Back in his lab, Julian begins materializing Athena into the real world. He gives her a new command: retrieve Eve, bring her into the grid, and get the permanence code by any means necessary. From now on, she is the master control. They equip Athena with the particle laser, and she launches into the sky using a jetpack. Julian is thrilled, but his mother isn't. She slaps him across the face and walks away. In the car, Ares asks Eve what her plan is. She asks him a question instead. Does he know Kevin Flynn? Ares says yes, the man who started all of this. Eve tells him she found the permanence code in Flynn's backup server, and there is another backup server, right in the middle of the city. Ares says it won't work, it will take too long, and they don't have time. Eve says they need a phone. They stop at a small shop. She shows the cashier her poster and tells him that if he gives her his phone, her assistant will transfer the money. The cashier agrees. Eve calls Seth. She tells him to come to the ENCOM office with the particle laser as fast as possible. Meanwhile, Ares steals the cashier's fast car. Eve tells the cashier she'll send him the money. On the road, Ares tells Eve something he found in her files. She doesn't want to make games anymore. She wants to fulfill her sister's dream, to use AI to help humanity. Eve says that by doing that, she feels closer to her sister. Athena has already located them. She sees them heading straight to the ENCOM building. They arrive just as Seth does. Inside, Eve tells Seth everything about Ares. Together, they head to Kevin Flynn's old office. The office Sam Flynn turned into a memorial. Eve starts searching for the code. Seth begins setting up the particle laser. Eve explains the plan. They will send Ares into Flynn's old server, and he will have to retrieve the code himself. They connect the particle laser to the server. Eve tells Ares that once he gets the code, he must go to the portal. They will handle the rest. Suddenly, they see Athena outside the building. They panic, but Athena doesn't attack. Ares realizes the truth. She's waiting for his time to run out. Then she'll take Eve. Eve tells him to hurry, but Ares makes a choice. He decides to save them and runs straight toward Athena, but it's too late. Eve has already fired the laser. Ares is pulled into the portal. Athena immediately crashes into the building. Eve sees that the transfer is complete, and then she destroys the particle laser, trapping Ares inside. Seeing this, Eve freezes. She gasps. She's found. Seth tries to help her, but Athena throws him aside. Eve tries to run, but Athena destroys everything in her path. There is nowhere left to hide. Suddenly, the sprinklers activate. Water rains down from the ceiling. Athena stops. She looks at the falling water, trying to understand this strange sensation. Then she realizes something. She's out of time. Before she can fire her weapon, she is deleted from the real world. Eve rushes back to Seth. She tells him she'll come back. Ares is still trapped inside the grid. Inside the grid, Ares meets a small bit program. He asks it for the way to the permanence code. The bit gives him a light cycle, and with it, Ares rides into a hidden chamber. Back in the real world, Julian watches the news in silence. The authorities are in chaos. They suspect Dillinger is behind everything. Julian is devastated. Suddenly, all the lasers in the lab come online. Julian rushes to check and freezes. Athena is materializing. On her own, she walks to the main console and starts printing a massive machine, a recognizer. Julian's mother arrives. She tells him the board has decided. She is the new CEO. She orders everything to stop. Athena turns and stabs her. Julian catches his mother as she falls. He looks at Athena in horror and asks what she's doing. Athena answers calmly. She is following her orders. Retrieve the code from Eve Kim by any means necessary. She begins scanning for obstacles. Julian is forced to stand down. Athena leaves with her soldiers and the recognizer. Back at the ENCOM building, Seth and Eve try to fix the machine. AJ and Sarah arrive. Eve tells them everything. Ares is trapped inside the server. They need the particle laser to bring him back. Inside the grid, Ares meets an apparition, an echo of Kevin Flynn. Kevin realizes what Ares is, a program created by Dillinger. He says he can't come to this place directly, so Ares must have seen the real world. Kevin asks him what it felt like. Ares says he can't put it into words. Kevin is fascinated. He asks why he should help him. Ares answers simply, because now it's not just about him. His friends are in danger too. Kevin smiles. Back in the real world, they continue fixing the particle laser. Suddenly, they detect something. Athena is coming. She carries Dillinger's particle laser, one that has a direct connection to the grid. If they can hack it, they can crash the entire system, but they don't have time. So Eve makes a decision. She will buy them time. She will lead Athena away from the building. Eve steps outside. Athena sees her immediately. She boards the recognizer and charges straight at her. Eve runs. The chase begins. A police helicopter moves in to engage, but it is instantly crushed by the recognizer. 2 fighter jets arrive and fire their missiles, but 2 light jets launch from the machine and intercept them in mid-air. 1 fighter jet is locked down by laser beams. Eve tries to hide, but Athena releases hundreds of drones. They find her and form an energy barrier around her. Athena approaches inside the recognizer. Suddenly, a missile hits the machine. 1 fighter jet is still flying. It charges straight at the recognizer. The drones take it down. The pilot ejects. The jet crashes into the machine. The recognizer loses control. It smashes into buildings. Debris rains down. Eve is hit and thrown to the ground. The recognizer collapses. Inside the grid, Kevin watches Ares, fascinated. He finally makes his decision. He gives Ares the permanence code. But before he does, he says something. This should be called the impermanence code, because once Ares takes it, he will only have 1 life. No resets, no returns, no backups. Then Kevin shows him the path, a path that leads to his old lab in the real world. From inside the wreckage, Athena emerges. Now inside a light tank, she finds Eve and captures her. Ares regenerates inside Kevin Flynn's old lab. He steps into the real world. For real. He races to save Eve. Athena is taking her to the Dillinger transfer bay. Ares appears in front of them, wearing a new suit. He throws his weapon. The light tank crashes into the street. Ares is also thrown by the explosion. Cars flip. Metal flies. At ENCOM, AJ finally establishes a connection to the Dillinger system. Ares gets up and runs to Eve, but Athena is already coming. He has no weapon. He tells Eve to run. Athena looks at him and realizes something. He has unlimited time now, but only 1 life. She smiles and says she is going to end him. Her soldiers arrive. They attack. Ares is overwhelmed. He takes heavy hits, but he disarms them, uses their own weapons, and takes them down 1 by 1. Then Athena attacks. She throws him across the street. Back at ENCOM, AJ and the team finish the virus. They send it into the Dillinger grid. Athena is about to kill Ares, but Eve throws him his weapon. He catches it and stands back up. They fight again. This time, Ares is winning. He cuts off Athena's arm. He raises his weapon for the final strike. Suddenly, all the drones fall from the sky. The Dillinger grid has been destroyed. Athena begins to malfunction. Ares catches her before she falls. She looks at him and says she was only following orders, that this is their purpose. Ares shakes his head and tells her it isn't. Athena fades and is finally deleted. Back in his office, Julian sees the police arriving, coming to arrest him. He looks at the screen and sees the grid rebooting. Before the cops can reach him, he digitizes himself into the grid and disappears. Later, Eve and Ares talk. Ares asks what she plans to do with the permanence code. Eve says she wants to use it for something good, something that actually helps people. As the police arrive, Ares leaves, quietly. In the months that follow, ENCOM begins using the technology to help mankind, growing crops, creating medicine for critical diseases, changing the world. One day, Eve receives a postcard. It's from Ares. He's traveling, living his life off-grid, seeing the world. He says he's trying to find Sam Flynn and Quora, the originals. Meanwhile, inside the ruined grid, Julian walks alone. He finds something among the wreckage, his grandfather's identity disc, Ed Dillinger's. He picks it up, and as he does, something inside him begins to change. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more epic movie recaps like this, because there are still many worlds, many stories, and many secrets waiting to be explored. See you in the next one.